Hello, Steeler Nation. Welcome to your Steeler Nation Vidcast, part of the Big Play Vidcast network over on YouTube and sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. Guys, I want to first start off wishing a very special happy birthday to Coach Tomlin, who's barely older than I am. But welcome and congratulations, Coach Tomlin, for having lasted as long as you have in the league and being one of the most solid coaches across the league. Happy to have you. Looking for another successful 2022. Compensations just came out today. So Steelers were just awarded a 4th round compensation pick for the Bud Dupree trade, which sucks. I am absolutely pissed that the Steelers got a 4th for multiple reasons, because he signed an incredible contract that was off the damn charts, and it's being held against the Steelers that he couldn't start because he was hurt. Doesn't change the fact that he left the team, doesn't change the fact that he's not a talented player, doesn't change the fact that he's one of the highest paid outside linebackers in the NFL. So that aspect of the way that you do draft compensation in NFL sucks. Absolutely sucks, especially when I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens each year, picking up a 3rd and a 4th round comp pick each year. Drives me absolutely nuts. Worked against us. I mean, I know we lost Filer and Hilton last year to decent contracts, but for some reason, lesser players that we brought on contracts like Witherspoon and Haig cancel them out, which is dumb. Absolutely stupid, because both Filer and Hilton are far superior players to Witherspoon and Haig and had far superior amount of snaps to either two. So those should have been factored in to the fact that Bud Dupree might not have played his snaps, but hey, we should have gotten properly compensated, consummated. I wanted to say it like it was a relationship. Compensated for a 3rd, and instead we're dumped with a 4th. We were expecting a 3rd. We're going to have to live with it. Absolutely going to have to live with it. But what a wild... I wasn't expecting to do this vidcast until Thursday. I was like, I'll wait till free agency starts. Someone has something to talk about. But damn it, Steeler Nation, this tampering period has been fun as hell. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the amount of moves that have gone on during this tampering period. Especially some great players, quarterback Mitch Trubisky, who was over there with, oh no, did I tap out there for a second? That's good. Oh, but who was over there with the Buffalo Bills as I'm talking right now? I have one of my great friends over at Overdue Bills, the Buffalo Bills fan site, that have just about as much of a problem as I do here at Steeler Nation, following these teams, living and breathing these teams in their spare time when they're not working their 9-to-5s. Matt, I'm going to be inviting you onto the show because I want your input on these players now that have joined the Steelers. The Buffalo Bills have some relationship with. But first off, how are you doing, my friend? It's been a while.
It has been a while, man. I was hoping we get you guys again for the playoffs, but obviously that didn't happen. But I'm doing well.
Yeah.
How about yourself, man? Happy to be on with you.
I'm doing great, and what a fantastic playoffs that was, man. I felt for you. I was rooting hard for the Bills in that game against KC, and I'm finally the only aspect of that result is that the entire world knows how terrible the overtime rules are, and I've been harping on this year after year how terrible the overtime rules are about this.
No doubt.
I mean, if one team scores, game's over. But if it's a field goal, you keep going because the other team gets a chance. But if it's a touchdown, game's over. If a safety game's, I mean, this stuff is just absolutely asinine. I mean, college football had it right before they screwed it up this year and turned it into overtime shootout with these 2-point conversions, which is just stupid. But they had it spot on. Score a touchdown, score a field goal. Your other team gets a chance to start from the 25 and do the same, except in the NFL. I think you should go for 2 every time. I think in college, you're like, well, we'll wait till like the 3rd time or something before you have to go for 2 and who wins these games. But I digress. Josh Allen still put on a phenomenal show. I think he's one of the elite quarterbacks in this league, but I want to talk to you about his backup
Yeah,
because
man.
Mitchell
Yeah. So,
Trubisky, yeah, is now a Steeler,
so
and we just got him from you guys, and I know he was sitting behind, but you at least saw him in preseason. You at least saw him and heard about him in training camp. Tell Steeler Nation the way Buffalo Bill fans feel about Mitch Trubisky.
So, we actually, I mean, every game we went into every game wanting to see Mitch Trubisky because we wanted us to be up by so much that he would get in the game and Josh wouldn't have to play
Yeah.
anymore. So that was kind of our motto when we were winning games 40-0. He was showing up in the fourth quarter. It was great. Mitchell Trubisky sightings were great last season. So, and in that though,
it must be nice to score 40 points in a game.
So I'm not going to come out and say he's going to be able to do that for you guys, but obviously, Ben was on the end of his career last year, right? And he's definitely not Ben by any stretch of where he was in his prime. But you do have a guy with your offensive line. I don't want to throw out the word maybe weak, but they let a lot of pressure in him. Mitch is a mobile guy. He'll be able to get out of the pocket. Because Ben just couldn't do it. If he wasn't getting the ball out immediately, he was in trouble. And so I think Mitch is going to add that element to you. He's also going to be able to help Najee in the run game because they can, at playing behind Josh Allen, he was able to make, you could call up a QB run for Mitch because he does have the legs to do that. So it's I was very sad to see him go because now we're in a dilemma of because who's going to back Josh up because we were comfortable with Mitch there in a bind, you know what I mean? So that was a very good signing. And then I'm definitely was sad to see him go yesterday when before we did our free agency show.
And that was the thing because he is a starting caliber quarterback, and you guys got a starting caliber quarterback as a backup because he wasn't offered a starting job last year, which was
crazy.
Insane. Because good quarterback in Chicago. He had good metrics. He was around oh, damn it. I keep dropping. But he was around, a 2 touchdowns to 1 interception ratio by the time he was finishing up years 3 and 4 in Chicago. Took that terrible team to a playoff run when he had 11 wins the one season in second year. I mean, the guy has a lot of skill, and to get a guy like that as a backup was a key move for the Buffalo Bills and smart move for them, just in case something to Josh clears.
Absolutely.
Because I am just done with I just did a quick reset on my network. Guys, we should be good now. Network is much clearer. I apologize for the delays. We shouldn't have any more. I just switched over to my other Wi-Fi and we should be golden from here on out. So thank you for bearing with me, Steeler Nation. But as I was continuing my thought, just picking up a guy like Trubisky was just such a coup for your team. And look at what they're getting. Like, Steeler fans were arguably upset that, like, well, they heard about what you said, $14 million, $7 million a year, and that's like can escalate up to $24 million, and that's great. I think that's fine for a starting caliber quarterback. That's right on line. And then we just see Tyrod Taylor hit this year, and he's at the same 14 mil, 2 years. Yep. So this is what it costs for NFL quarterbacks that were backup prices, essentially. But I mean, you got him for an incredible $2.5 million. I thought was an insane deal. Absolutely insane.
And I will add those 2 guys were both backups and starters for the Bills.
Right. That's why I brought up Tyrod for you.
Yep. No, for sure. So no, and we knew coming in that he was probably gone because of our money situation, and we knew that he would want to go and play somewhere. He's very young. He has a lot left in the tank. I don't think he's ready to quite take the backup role fully. So I'm glad he's going to get a chance to start for the Steelers. Pending the draft, we'll see.
So
small hands, Kenny Pickett. I know he's on the radar right now. It's crazy, but
yeah, it's insane. Like, I'm 6 foot, I have 9.5 inch hands, which happens to be the same size hands as Mitchell Trubisky because I looked it up. But for a guy being 6'4" like Kenny Pickett is, to have 8.5 inch hands after doing his hand stretches, getting it up from that 8 number, it's You know,
Well,
I'm starting to think he's going to fall to the second round. Steelers might be able to pick him up there.
absolutely. Well, then I saw something completely asinine where some reporter said, after they measured his hands, that he wouldn't be able to play in a cold weather city like Pittsburgh.
But he's played there for
Like, but
college.
yeah, I'm about to say he's been there since for 4 years, but
Right.
like that's another story.
Yeah, but I mean, but fumbles are an issue with him as a quarterback in Pitt. We do
Yes,
know that for living in Pittsburgh. We understand that.
for sure.
But the other reason why I have you on the show is for your expertise on another cornerback that the Steelers just picked up today with Levi Wallace. And
Yes.
he was a starting edge corner for you guys. I've been hearing, well, I'm not going to put any words in your mouth. I want to know exactly what you personally think of Levi and how he fits in a system.
Well, me personally, I liked Levi a lot, but it was kind of the same deal. I knew going in what his price tag, well, or at least because I use a Sport Track metric, right?
Right.
So they said that his value was around 9.25 million a year, and
Yeah.
to see that he signed for 2 years, 8 million
8 million.
total, it's like
Right.
how do we let that go?
Right.
Because he, once Tre'Davious went down, he became the number one corner, the guy who gets put in to, cover your best guy every week. And he did a pretty good job in doing so. As a number two cornerback, he definitely was outstanding.
Yeah.
I know for a time halfway through the season, all four of our cornerbacks, including Levi, they were top 10 in passes allowed when they were
Wow.
targeted.
Yeah.
So he definitely can play,
Yeah.
100%. And he's very he's played with a lot of good talent around him.
Mm,
Learned from guys like Micah Hyde, Jordan
mm.
Poyer, Tre'Davious White, day in and day
Right.
out. Leslie
Yeah.
Frazier got.
Yeah.
I think in a system like that where he's going to come in, especially with a guy like T.J. Watt who can go get the quarterback. He's not going to have to cover guys for long. So
Yeah.
that's another plus. So you guys got a home run of. I guess I wouldn't call him a home run, but you got a steal for
Mm.
sure for that price and a guy who's going to start for you and play every week.
And it's fantastic for Steeler Nation because we had at least a report. Aditi Kinkobwala did tweet out yesterday that the Steelers were in talks with Akila Witherspoon. And
Okay.
what evidently ended up happening was those talks didn't finalize. They never got a contract with Witherspoon. So the Steelers did their due diligence. They went out and got a cornerback that can fit that role and didn't have to pay as much probably for Witherspoon as well. But there's
For
one
sure.
other aspect I wanted to ask and get your opinion on. I just saw a metric tweeted out by Alex Kozora over the Depot, and he stated that out of all of the cornerbacks last season, I think Ward had the most tackles from KC with like 76. Followed by second most tackles by a cornerback was Joe Hayden with 53, and then your boy Levi Wallace
With
at
50, right?
51.
With
So
51.
yeah,
Okay.
tell me how he is as a tackler. Does he attack the ball in the air at the catch point, or how is his style of play when the ball's in the air?
So so his
And
style of play is he's a physical corner. He's definitely gonna hand fight with the guys, and that's kind of also his downfall. He
yeah,
does give up a big play from time to time,
okay,
but he definitely he's a good tackler. And he's definitely he's gonna be in whoever he's covering's face all day long, and that's what I loved about him
yeah,
because he wasn't gonna give up much, and it showed throughout the year because he was definitely our most targeted by proxy. You're not going to throw at Tre'Davious White. Teron Johnson played great. You're not going to throw over the middle with the safeties there. So you're going to try to go to the next man up, who was Levi, and
yeah.
he definitely played well in that role.
Nice. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on my show and giving your insight. And Steeler
Yeah,
Nation, you got to check out our brothers to the north, Overdue Bills, man. They're great guys. I'm on their show often. It seems like once, twice a year, going over preseason stuff, going over in-season stuff. And I'm happy to finally return the favor
absolutely.
and have you on the show. And I got to let you guys know I do represent. I do
Oh
represent when
man,
you send me a free t-shirt. So thank you very much for the free swag. Obviously, I'm Pittsburgh
absolutely.
through and through, but if they're out of it, I'm rooting for the Bills going
I
through the
appreciate that.
playoffs and see
Yeah,
what they
man.
do. So thanks for being on the show, Matt.
Thanks a lot, man. Happy to be here. And hope to see you again soon.
And where can we find you? What are your Twitter hashtags?
We're on Twitter, Overdue Bills PO1, overduebillspod.com, where you could find everything. We have our website, we have our store, we have another guy on our team, Mike. He writes articles. We have all of our YouTube, Twitter handles, Instagram handles. Everything's on the website. So overduebillspod.com.
Perfect. Overduebillspod.com, Steeler Nation.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Matt. I'll be talking to you soon, man.
Sounds good. Thanks. See you.
Anytime. And that's it, Steeler Nation. But let's start talking about what you guys have to say, because obviously, like, this is a lot crazier than I thought it was going to be with this tampering period. I was like, oh, there would be a couple moves and that, but it's been like essentially free agency has started. And what this tampering period meant to me, like, I'm like, what's the point of having a tampering period? But what it means is when we're trying to sign our own players back, other teams can make offers. And that's when we're seeing like players like Witherspoon turn down our offer because he might be being tampered with to sign somewhere else. It's also why Chukwuezekorofo got more money because we offered him $24 million, and I think he got it up to his $29.25 million because he wanted us to match to keep him. I think it was a smart move. You guys might have a different opinion than that, but let's start talking about it and seeing what everyone else here has to say in Steeler Nation. Michael Hall, welcome to the show. Money Mitch's Steelers. Wow, love it. Love it. Let's go. Loving all the pickups so far. Me too. And we're going to go through the rundown here pretty soon, Michael Hall. So keep coming on and let me know what you got. Oh, what we got there? Kenny Beamer, let's go. That was Kenny Beamer. I thought that was Michael Hall. Sorry, Kenny. Didn't mean to assign that to somebody else, my friend. Michael, putting some work in the O-line. I'm loving it. Me too. Big pickups because we needed help at guard. We needed help at center depth, and we needed help at tackle because Chooks was a free agent. We re-signed him. We got that tackle back. I know some people are talking about Banner being a cut. That is possible, but they still may keep Banner for depth. We will have to watch and see if that's the case, especially if he's healthy. He's the best extra tackle in the league. We used to cheer him every time he came out on the field, Steeler Nation. Never forget about that and how he destroyed people at the point of attack in the running game. So we'll have to see what happens to Banner as well. Picking up some other big names in free agency. Mason Cole coming over from Minnesota. Guard capable, center capable, started, and he was traded from Arizona to Minnesota last year for a 6th rounder. He, midway through the season, I think he started 3 games at center. Then he moved over and started 4 games at guard before he hyperextended his elbow. He was placed on injured reserve with like 3 weeks to go or 2 weeks to go in the season, but it was strictly just a roster move to get that roster spot back. He didn't have anything extensive. Hyperextensions, he come back for 2-3 weeks, not a big deal. But they did it as a roster move. He did get IR'd. Nothing for me to worry about, at least in that respect. But we get another guy that's an interior offensive lineman that can play multiple spots, which the Steelers love. Then we added the cherry on top today, Steeler Nation. Want to get your opinion on picking up Mason Cole, the guard center out of Minnesota. That was a huge coup. 3 years, $15.75 million. That was just who we talked about. James Daniels from Chicago. Come on, Stryker, get your freaking spreadsheet right. $26 million over 3 years from Chicago. Played with Trubisky in Chicago. It looks like it's like an $8.75 million signing bonus with salaries of $8.25 million in 2023 and 2024. Only counts $4.167 million against the cap this season. That's what the Steelers are doing, guys. You guys saw that huge contract that Chooks saw, $29 million. No, $29 million to Chooks. That's too much money. That's too much money. He only counts $4.5 million this season. He is very dumpable if he does not turn into a player this season. If he turns into a player this season and he's going forward, he will be a steal for retaining him at his future salaries of $6 million with the roster bonuses of 4.75 for the next 2 years deal. And that's what you do. You sign a guy with potential that's young, that can grow with your team. So I'm happy with all of those offensive line moves. We can talk about other positions as we'll go down here in the list. Seems so weird, Pittsburgh picking up players from free agency. I know, it's so weird that we have money, Kenny. We never have money in free agency. We're like, dollar bill, yeah. We spending. We're going to get people on our team. And we did. And that's what we extend. It's always been Kevin Colbert's MO anyway, is to plug every single hole in free agency first before entering the draft. So you're not going into the draft having to plug holes. You're going there to add depth, build your team, make it better. So that's the way. So hopefully we'll start doing that for the new GM, no matter who it's going to be when they finally make that decision as well. Calvin Pittman off of Facebook, my friend Calvin. How you doing, man? I think Mitch is a good move. Agreed. You guys have been listening to me on the show. I wanted Jameis Winston, number one. He was my guy. I thought he had the most upside. I also liked Teddy Bridgewater, and my third choice was Mitch Trubisky. Did not hate that. Anything lower than Mitch, like Marcus Mariota would have been my number 4, but like that's like this. Like to me, like Mitch and Bridgewater were like right here. And it's like, so if I got one or the other, I was still happy. Definitely wanted Jameis, but this still gives us a situation. Picking up Jameis would have put us in a situation where we would have been like, okay, is this going to be our franchise quarterback? I don't think we're in that same situation with Mitch Trubisky. I don't think Mitch is going to be the one to be our savior and be our quarterback for the next 10 years. Who knows? To tell you the truth, I don't know if he's going to start this year. I think he still has to compete with Rudolph. He still has to compete with Haskins. And if they give them an open competition between those 3 receivers, three quarterbacks, I think it would make for a really interesting preseason, and may the best man win. But I do love the pickup, and I'm glad they got one of the top 3 free agents quarterback, because I went through 10 of them, and 5 of them are older than dirt. I mean, we didn't get Fitzmagic, fortunately. We didn't get Dalton. We didn't get all those old retread quarterbacks, Flacco, all those guys. We did not go for the old retreads. We went for a younger guy that's mobile with some upside that can hopefully run this Matt Canada offense and make it exciting on offense this season, because damn it, I did not feel excited on offense at all after week 12 when Ben's arm was not there anymore and all he could do was throw short. It just was not fun to watch. Dave Weinberg, how you doing, my friend? Definitely a good move. Agreed, Dave. Agreed. Rich Baker, need to shore up the offensive line, and Mitchell will do fine. And right now we've done it. 3 moves already for offensive line. We plugged our holes on offensive line and free agency already, Rich. One less thing to have to worry about in the draft. I mean, we'll still talk about it. Still in a chance to draft an offensive lineman early, but now I don't think it's going to be with that 1 pick. And to tell you the truth, I don't think any offensive lineman would really be worth a 1 pick in our slot where we're picking, unless one of those big name tackles dropped. And that would still be an option for the Steelers to pick up should that happen. We'll have to see. Kenny Baker, tighten up, Striker. I know. Sorry about lately clips early, but thank you for bearing with me, guys. I'm glad I got everything up and running. Michael Scott Joyner, good to hear from you as well, my friend. Every week you seem to be on the show. Good to hear from you. Do we still try to keep Hayden? I don't think that's going to happen, Mike. Unfortunately, I love Hayden. I wanted to keep Hayden. The problem is his age paired with his salary no longer fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Awesome team guy. Great tackler. Smart as hell. I'd love to have him on the team. I would. But picking up the guy, like I was just talking with Matt at Overdue Bills, we got a guy that had 2 less tackles on the season than Joe Hayden, and that's Levi Wallace. And we got him for $8 million total, which Matt said you got him for nothing, $4 million a season, when he was expecting the payout being closer to $9 million, according to Spotrac. But that's what happens with free agency. You got to make the smartest move for your team sometime, and that means sometimes letting people go. That means sometimes not signing back those veterans that you normally used to have, and you let them get on with their life's work and hopefully have success on another team. And I wish Joe Hayden the best, because he did. That was just the greatest, just to talk about Joe Hayden, just the greatest situation when the Browns were like right before the season started. We're like, yeah, we're going to dump some salary cap. Bye, Joe. And like that day All the Steelers hit him up on Twitter like, Joe, yo, we're only 2 hours away, bro. Come on down. Play with us. Come on down. And that was there. Everybody reached out on the Pittsburgh Steelers, brought Joe Hayden in. He was there that night, drove to Pittsburgh, signed a contract. That I will never forget. Joe Hayden kicking his old team in the teeth to be a Pittsburgh Steeler and to lend his talents to us for 4 years. You will always have a special place in my heart, and you are a Pittsburgh Steeler for life, in my opinion. Joe Hunter, 100%. Thank you, my friend. We always love that. Ed Siegler, do we still draft Willis at 20 if he's there? Why not? Why not, Ed? Honestly, I was talking about this a little bit last show, and I've started thinking about it. And my thoughts are, we always wanted, when we were talking about Steeler Nation, talking about quarterbacks that we wanted. Who are the ones that we wanted? Mobile quarterbacks. Trubisky, Mariota, they're mobile, but we were talking about Haskins. We were talking about, or not Haskins, we were talking about Watson, Deshaun Watson. We want Deshaun Watson. We want Kyler Murray. We want even Russell Wilson has some mobility. But those are the guys we were talking about. Mobile quarterbacks. That's where the league's moving toward. This is a mobile quarterback. This is the best mobile quarterback in this draft. The best thing is, too, in this situation, Ed, even if we do use that first-round draft pick on a quarterback, he doesn't have to start this year. He's going to be behind Trubisky. He's going to be behind whoever ends up being the second quarterback, whether it's Haskins, whether it's Rudolph. But he's going to be on the roster. And he'd be learning behind them to hopefully unseat the starting quarterback the following year. To be like, okay, we don't need you, Trubisky. We're going to let you go this year. Get on with your life work. Hopefully get onto a new team. And then start our quarterback in the second season. Because it's the best of all worlds if that happens. And I wouldn't be against it. Hell, I wouldn't be against picking up Pickett in the second round. His small, tiny hands might get him to the second round. And I think that's good value at the second round. First round, not so much. Second round, which it looks like he's starting to drop because everybody's talking about first round quarterbacks. Howell, Riddler. It's like nobody's talking about Pickett anymore. We're going into this offseason. Pickett's the best quarterback in the draft. Now, after hand size comes back, he's not even a first rounder. And he seems to be the most pro-ready of all those quarterbacks. So interesting stuff to talk about. But yes, I'm all over it. If Willis is there at 20, he's my pick. Honestly, he's my pick. Jerry West, love what I'm seeing. Me too. We're going to talk some more. Chris loving the O-line as well. Who doesn't? Just draft O-line and inside linebacker. And that's what I'm hoping inside linebacker gets taken care of. I've written it a couple times. I am a big Leighton Vander Esch, man. I love that guy. Steelers were thinking about moving up to draft him that year. Did not. He ended up being an all-pro and made the Pro Bowl his rookie season with Dallas Cowboys. Years 2 and 3 were marred with injury. He was healthy all of last year. Didn't get as much snaps, but still kept him healthy. But this guy's athleticism and his ability to defend the pass is better than any linebacker we have. It's tops. And that's the type of guy that attacks the hole, can play the pass, can do it all. I think he's a great fit and an inexpensive fit. If the Steelers want to have somebody thrown into the mix there with Spillane, who just signed his restricted free agent tender or was that exclusive rights free agent tender? Let me make sure I'm right on that one. Spillane was a restricted free agent. Yep. So he signed his restricted free agent tender. And of course, Bush is going to be there. Schobert may be a cap casualty. We don't know. We know we free up $8 million if we cut Schobert. So if we bring in another inside linebacker, Schobert's gone. That's just probably going to be the case. But we have some good depth. Marcus Allen is returning as well. I saw him sign his tender as well today. So we've got the depth there, and UG3 is still there too. So we've got depth at inside linebacker. And Buddy, we drafted Buddy last year. A lot of depth at inside linebacker. So we don't need Schobert if we bring in another starting caliber inside linebacker. But we'll have to see how that plays out. John Hunter, what do you have to say, my friend? Every move makes sense so far because we're plugging holes. And let's talk about some of the holes, Steeler Nation, and what's been plugged thus far. Quarterback, offensive tackle, offensive guard, center, cornerback, outside or offensive line depth, inside linebacker depth, retaining some of that talent that I was talking about with Spillane and Allen, and nose tackle re-signing Adams today. That's right. We pulled in Montravius Adams on a 2-year deal for $5 million. Smart move. More depth. Tyson Alualu should also be returning this season as the starter, so good to have some depth at nose tackle for there as well. What holes do we still have to fill? I've got them marked here, Steeler Nation. The needs, the biggest needs for my team so far, wide receiver. We've only got 3 rostered. We need to have 5. Actually, we only have 2 rostered right now. DJ, Clayton. Ray isn't rostered yet. Ray's a free agent. Juju's a free agent. Washington's a free agent. Washington may sign with Dallas. We'll have to see if that's going to be a true or not. But Juju may be too expensive. I want to bring back Ray because we also need a kick and punt returner. Ray would fill all 3 of those slots. Slot receiver, kick, and punt returner. We also need a starting strong safety. Our starting strong safety is going out there unless Curtis Joseph is sitting on our roster to become the next man up. I don't know. That would be cool. I wanted to see him get more snaps last year. Played really well in the 1 game he played in when Edmonds had his COVID. Would want to see that. And then we need some depth on defensive end. Don't know if Tuitt's coming back. Outside linebacker. Who's going to be our third outside linebacker? Are we going to re-sign Taco Charlton? Running back, we have no depth really behind Najee. I think Snell is still on the roster technically, but Balaj is a free agent. And tight end, we do have Gentry. We do have Freiermuth. Do we have a third one? We can pick up a third tight end later in the draft. We might not have to really harp on that third tight end in free agency, but we may. And then, of course, another wide receiver for wide receiver depth. Somebody behind Claypool that can also stretch the field if we go into a 4 wide receiver set. I want to see that type of pickup as well here in Steeler Nation. But you let me know what you want to see as well. Those are my needs. Those are my wants. If there's anything that I'm missing, chime in, please, and we'll start talking about it. The Brobarian! Welcome back to the show, Brobarian. With all these signals, I don't know what they're going to do on the first round of the draft. Now it sounds like they have addressing that early, so I'm thinking the quarterback in the first round. That's the thing. We're going BPA in the first round, man. And for me, I'm looking at some of these draft mock-ups. Some of the value of positions where we're going to be picking might be cornerback, might be linebacker, might be wide receiver. There's some incredible wide receivers that may be available at 20. And if we make a move there, look out. That's where you get skill possession players, guys. And it's, for the most part, you're getting them on day 1, day 2. Your skill position guys. That's why we went skill position last year. Najee in the first, Freiermuth in the second, because there was no running back anywhere near Najee's capabilities in that draft. And you can only get him in the first. Same, except maybe ATN, but unfortunately his knee injury took him out for the year. And same thing with Freiermuth. No better all-around tight end in the draft. I know Pitts went early, like top 10. And he made the Pro Bowl. Deservedly so. He's a hell of a talent. Hell of a receiver. I don't know if he's good as a blocker, an all-around player that Freiermuth will develop into, but phenomenal player. And that's where you get these game-changing players. First three rounds. And I wouldn't be against picking up a wide receiver. Really wouldn't. Michael Hall. We keeping Killebrew for 2 more years, $4 million. Is that too little for 2 years? No, because that's a special teams demon. Gets double digits in tackles on special teams, blocked 2 punts. I'll give him $1 million for each punt he blocks. That's worth it. That's worth it to me because he's making splash plays on special teams. And you got to keep in mind, like, you might pay your special teams ace between $3 and $4 million a season, like we do with Derek Watt, like Buffalo Bills do with Tyler Matakevich, who used to be our special teams ace and is now their special teams ace. It is not out of the realm of possibility to spend $4 million a season for a special teams ace. And we got Killebrew on the cheap for $2 million a season. So all for that. I think that's a great value pickup and keeps our special teams strong and something that they have to worry about. Because Killebrew is just like nonchalantly coming up the middle of the field, just like block. Want to see more of that this season. Really do. Brenda Young. Hello, Brenda. The ladies of Steeler Nation are speaking. How do I shut this damn thing off? Oh, power button. Power button or mute. If you don't want to hear my voice, it's slightly more palatable than Myron Cope, but not that much more. Michael Hall. I hear Mathis is going 3 years, 45. Matthew, yeah. And I take it. 15 mil a season. That's what we're going to be getting. That's right around, I think we're going to be getting 16 mil a season for Fitzpatrick, and we're going to redo his contract before the season starts. But that's about spot on, and he's worth it. He's worth every freaking penny. The guy is a playmaker. That's what I want on my defense. I want playmakers, not guys watching plays happen in front of them like Edmonds. Don't want guys like that anymore. Time to go out and make a move, and I want a good, strong safety that can complement Fitzpatrick, not have Fitzpatrick have to make up for them. Michael Hall, Dante Hightower for inside linebacker. Your thoughts? I like it. I liked it back when we were trying to pick him up 4 years ago. I liked it back when we were trying to pick him up in the draft when he was drafted. Hightower's always been a guy that would absolutely fit the center of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And unfortunately, we were just behind the Patriots. It did not work out for us to pick him up in either respect. But picking him up now, I know they have their other inside linebacker, I think, is available as well. He's younger, might be a little quicker now than Hightower is in his age, but Hightower can play that run, man. I mean, he's a monster. He's a monster and a big guy, rangy guy. He's got that length so he can defend those tight ends. So yeah, I love Hightower. Absolutely love him. And if we pick him up, great. I don't think he's a need. I don't think inside linebacker is a need. I really don't. I think Schobert and Bush, we can still go back with them. I think they will improve strictly for the fact with Tyson Alualu back on the field. That would make those two people better instantly. And I think we're going to pick up a nose tackle in this draft. Fairly high. Might be as high as the 3rd round. Might be our 4th round comp pick. That's a big, big push for us to get a good nose tackle to develop, because this is Alualu's last ride. And he might get injured again. We don't know. But I think that would be smart for the Steelers to do. Justin Jones, what do you guys think about Carson Strong, the quarterback, right? Yeah, I've heard good things about him. I hear him being talked about being like a tweener first, second rounder. Some people have him rated as a first rounder and his talents. Other people say, well, maybe we can get him in the 2nd round as a quarterback we can throw into the mix and be part of this new Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback room. We'll have to see. You know, I haven't really delved in completely on the quarterbacks in the draft just because I'm so geeked on free agency right now. I'll have better answers for you in the next couple weeks once I start getting into the preparing for the draft. But Justin Jones, I'm glad you brought up Carson Strong, because that is somebody that Steeler Nation has been talking about and linking his name, especially if you go to SteelerNation.com on the football forum. He's talked about a good amount. People do like his arm and they like his accuracy. Needs a little bit of seasoning, obviously, but you know, and this year the quarterbacks are a crapshoot. Like we said, Pickett was said to be the best quarterback in the draft. Now everybody doesn't know. Is it Howell? Is it Riddle? Is it Malik? Some people say Malik is a 1st rounder. Some people say Malik is a 3rd rounder. You can't get any consensus on the quarterbacks this season, but the one consensus that we do have, none of them are in conversation for being the number 1 pick in the draft, which is rare in the NFL. It's rare that you don't have a quarterback go number 1, let alone in the top 3 to 5 picks. This season, it looks like a quarterback won't go in the top 5. Really? I mean, when's that happened? Your bottom teams need quarterbacks. Nope, not this year. Not these quarterbacks. We're waiting for next year. And it might be smart for the Steelers to wait till next year. And like we said, we got Trubisky here as our bridge quarterback. He's locked in for 2 years. Like, if we don't pick up a quarterback in the draft, we will pick one up as an undrafted rookie free agent or a free agent just to fill the room, to have 4 quarterbacks going into training camp like we always do. And that's going to happen, but it's not a need. Quarterback's just not a need this year for us, fortunately. Or Kyle Van Noy. Not a bad call, too. Kyle Van Noy. Because that was the other Patriots linebacker I was trying to bring up. He's like, to me, he reminds me like of a younger Vince Williams. Vince in the middle. Bring in a guy up that can shoot that A gap, be disruptive in the backfield as the handoff is happening, read those plays effectively, getting off blocks. All for Kyle Van Noy coming to us. I really would be, especially, and he's a younger guy. That's why, like, I think I'd rather have, if I had to choose between Kyle Van Noy and Hightower today, feet to the fire, I'm going Kyle Van Noy. Great post there. Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that. Russell Wilson trying to recruit Wagner to the Broncos. Smart if he does. Smart if he does, because they need help on the defensive side, and they already have all the help on the offensive side, and they're not going to be drafting for a while because they gave up their draft picks for their guy with Russell Wilson being there. So that's going to be an interesting division to watch this year, and I'm going to be watching a lot of that division because it's going to be exciting football. That whole division is just going to be fun to watch. All four teams having a quarterback. It's going to be, guys, just to watch football. You love the Steelers. You got to love football. Watch them as well, just to see what it looks like to have good quarterbacks, and hopefully the Steelers get one here soon. Michael Scott, join us. Hopefully they plug the Terrell Edmonds hole. And I think that hole has been a 4-year hole. Really. Like, I've just been, though I've got to admit, and Brandon Wallace, if you're watching the show, I will admit the one thing that he did improve on last year was tackles for losses. He essentially had as many tackles for losses last season as he did his entire career. So he is playing close to the line of scrimmage. He's making more plays in the backfield, and that is a good trend. But I don't like the way he plays the football in the air. I don't think he hits hard enough to ever dislodge a football, which is what I want to see out of my strong safeties. Michael Hilton can do it as a slot corner. I'm going to see my strong safety do it. That's why I'm not high on Edmonds. Tim Wise, Stryker is the most enthusiastic Steeler fan I've ever heard. You should sit next to me in the stadium or in my house because I am loud AF. Sometimes I even had Steeler fans turn around and tell me to be quiet. And I'm like, I'm not being quiet. I'm at the game. They can actually hear me here. But those are the people that don't know me, that aren't the season ticket holders, that come in and are used to their wives telling them to shut up and just hearing me clap and scream all game. Though when I don't drink, I'm not as aggressively loud. And I was sober last season, so we'll have to see if that continues. That trend continues into this football season. Nick Warren, welcome to the show, Nick. Steelers ain't going nowhere. Tomlin's first losing season. And you know, Nick, it's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing if Tomlin has a losing season. I mean, I see it as a badge of courage for a guy being in the league for going on 14 years now without a losing season. That's just never been done in the NFL. It's something you've got to acknowledge. Yeah, no matter who your quarterback is, there's other teams that have had Tom Brady that can't say that. There's other teams that have had freaking Marino or Montana or Elway. I mean, usually great quarterbacks start off on bad teams, so they can't become, their coaches can't have those winning seasons early on. But now Peyton Manning as well, crap hole first year over there. But if we have a bad season, I'm all for it, because it means we're getting high draft picks the following year, and we have our full complement of draft picks next year. And because that's what we're doing. We're rebuilding. It's time to rebuild. If we have a bad down year, nothing's going to get us back on top faster than great draft picks. And for us, think about it, Steeler fans. We've been picking between 20 and 32 since we drafted Ben Roethlisberger. Let that sink in. We've been picking between 20 and 32, the back third of the draft, for 18 straight years. How do we do it? How do we find guys like TJ Watt, who just won a Defensive Player of the Year award? How do we find guys like Cameron Hayward, who is our freaking MVP on defense and our team leader on defense? It's like, this is the Steeler way. Doesn't matter where we're drafting, we're going to try to find people that fit our system. And man, do we still, Kevin Colbert, much power to you, my friend, for finding incredible talent late in the first round, where other teams can't find that talent in the top 10. We redraft any of those drafts with Hayward, with Watt in it. Watt's going number 1 or number 2 in that, if there's a redraft. There's no two ways about it. Lowest number 2. We got him, 23? Dallas passed on him when they needed it, a linebacker, and they get to kick themselves for it. Patriots get to kick themselves for it. I mean, that's just the way it goes, man. We did it. Cameron Hayward would be a top 5 pick in that draft. We got him at 31, 32 that year. Down toward the bottom. I mean, that's it. That's how it's done. Heath Miller, I think we got at 32 one year. I mean, great draft picks and finding talent deep in the first round and from the rounds thereafter, especially with our wide receivers. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounders that have always found a way to become great players on this team and great contributors on this team. More power to this team. That's just awesome stuff. Michael Hall, Ty Hilton, 2 years, $12 million market value. Emmanuel Sanders or AJ Green, 4 years, $28 million market value. There's no way I would give AJ Green a 4-year contract. He's been broken the last 3 years with big injuries. I love AJ Green. Absolutely love AJ Green. And the Bengals always find an amazing receiver that I'm all over. AJ Green is one of those guys I would have loved to have had in his prime, but he is past his prime. T.Y. Hilton, past his prime, but 2 years I'll take. Emmanuel Sanders, I still wouldn't give a 4-year contract to. A 2-year I'd give to. And I'd like Emmanuel Sanders if he wanted to play slot again for us. Because there was a time when we had AB as the X, Sandy as the slot, and the Z, I think, on those teams. That was right when Martavius Bryant, I believe, was our Z. Those years. Yeah, so we had some interesting teams with those guys early on and successful as well. So I'd bring back Emmanuel Sanders, but there's no way I'd move Deontay Johnson from the X position to slot. Doesn't help him at all. He is the best route runner. He's one of the best route runners in the league. You keep him at the X spot where the quarterback is looking first on every read because he's open. That's why you keep him there. We need a slot. Billy Johnson. We should make a move for Allen Robinson. Michael Hall, I'm going to go back to you for 1 second. I will state AJ Green, I would pick up on the team, and T.Y. Hilton to be 4th receivers, to be that extra deep running receiver on 4 wide receiver sets at very, very small contracts. If that's the route they want to go, but not at that value number. Just had to finish that thought. Billy Johnson, we should make a move for Allen Robinson. We'll take a cornerback or middle linebacker round 1. There are too many wide receivers to take that early. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of wide receivers to take that early. Allen Robinson is not a bad move. I mean, obviously being a wide receiver and being a good one, like I'm just looking up his stats right now because I don't have his stats memorized because I wasn't as high on him in the free agency March. But yeah, he's been in the league for a bit, Jacksonville and Chicago. Had some great seasons up around 1,200 yards, had a 1,400-yard season with Jacksonville, led the league in 2015 with 14 touchdowns. The guy can play. I'm not sure if he fits more as a Z or as an X. Probably an X because it looks like his target numbers, 98, 102 in the previous 2 seasons before last year. Not playing a full complement of the season last season obviously did hurt him. But Trubisky does have some experience throwing to Robinson. And I will state, I just watched the Mitch Trubisky highlight reel. It's like 8 minutes over on YouTube. Go check it out. It seemed to me when I was watching it, it was more the Allen Robinson highlight film because there were all these passes that like no wide receiver would have caught. But Allen Robinson's catch radius, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal catch radius. And I do love that aspect about his game. Not sure if he fits in our system the way that we need players or if he's willing to play slot, but just on pure talent. Great. Yeah, he did really well with Mitch Trubisky. Really well. Joseph Dittis, welcome to the show. So Witherspoon declined the offer. That's what I'm thinking, Joseph. Aditi did put out that Witherspoon was talking to the Steelers or the Steelers were talking with Witherspoon, which means that they had contract talks and they were expecting something to happen. The bombshell today being Levi Wallace being the signing and for probably half the price we would have gotten Witherspoon for. Really. And Steelers, I was telling you guys last week, Steelers love their short tackling cornerbacks. If you're a cornerback in this league, you got to be able to tackle. And he was number 3 in tackles by cornerbacks last season, just behind Hayden. So we got our guy cheaper than Hayden, cheaper than Witherspoon. And let me look up those numbers just so I have it locked in my head here for you and give you the appropriate numbers for Levi Wallace. 2 years, $8 million. That's a steal. I honestly thought it would have been like $8 million a season for Witherspoon. 5 to 8. That's essentially where I thought he was going to be. Chanel Jackson, what do you think about Bobby Wagner? Bobby Wagner, the all-world inside linebacker, going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he fits on this team just for where he is, money-wise versus age-wise, but I mean, he's still playing at an all-world level. There's no reason I wouldn't want to add a guy like that to the team, but I don't think a pickup like Wagner, when I can get somebody like a 10th the price with Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, Wagner, sure, he plugs a hole, and we're getting rid of Schobert if we pick up Wagner, but Leighton Vander Esch, I think, can do essentially not as well as Wagner. Don't get me wrong. Wagner's all world. Nobody's going to be as good as Wagner as far as for a pickup for anybody, but I think he's going to be too expensive. I really do. I don't think I can tie up 15 to 20 million on an inside linebacker. I just don't. I don't think that's a smart money move for the Steelers, especially now that we're pretty close against the cap. Because remember when we had about 20 some million in space? Thus far, I have, with my numbers, when I'm keeping track, I'm going to say that Levi Wallace is $4 million. I'm just taking that $8 million in half. Mason Cole, we don't have those numbers yet on him, but I'd say it's probably going to be around $3 million. So right now we have spent $36 million in free agency. And let me go down those numbers here quickly. For these free agents, Mitchell Trubisky, he's going to count $7 million this season. James Daniels, the guard center, going to be 4.167 this season. Mason Cole's probably around $3 million this season. Levi Wallace, about $4 million. I split the difference. Probably going to be a little less than that. Chuks Okorafor is going to cost $4.5 million this season. Montravius Adams, $2.5 million this season. Miles Killebrew, $2 million this season. Arthur Mallette, $2 million this season. Dwayne Haskins, $2.5 million. Spillane and Allen, $2.5 million. And J.C. Hassenauer, exclusive rights free agent that just signed his, going to cost $70,000. So that altogether is about $36.5 million. We don't have any cap space to make a big move on a splash free agent anymore, unless we start cutting people and making some restructures, which we can do, which we do have room to make those. And I think we will make some, because we got to make room to sign our draft picks, practice squad, all that stuff. That's all counts in part of that as well. So, but yeah, Bobby Wagner, I just don't think it is in the cards. I don't think we're making a big splash free. I think Trubisky's our splash free agent, and James Daniels. Those are our two big guys. They're the guys we went out and got, because we did not go out and get that cornerback that I thought we were going to go get. Ed Seeger, would you be more inclined to move up in the draft or move back and pick up extra picks, seeing what we're filling major holes through free agency? That's the ultimate thing, Ed, too. And welcome back to the show, Ed. You want to be in a spot where people don't know what you're going to do in the draft. I mean, sure, we could move up and grab somebody, but just the way that we're rebuilding, I don't think we're going to move up and grab. I know there's some talk about us moving up to grab Malik Willis. I just don't know if it's worth the value. I don't know if it's worth giving up picks for a rebuilding team to go up and grab a guy like Willis. I just don't think that that's going to happen. I would love to move back if the value is there, but it depends on who's there. And that's what the Steelers think about. It's like, okay, we can move back in this situation, or our guy is there and we're rushing to the podium. Somebody drops that should have been a top 10 guy and on their sheet, they're going to run to the podium at 20 and grab their guy. So we'll have to see. But it's the good thing is you fill those holes in free agency, so you don't have to worry about the draft. You're just drafting for talent. And that's what the Steelers do best. Brian Brown, welcome back to the show. Brian, Trubisky, isn't Ian Rudolph the same type of player? The Steelers could have really saved money by letting Mason or Dwayne start. The run game and defense is what the Steelers need to win anyhow. And I agree. And I'm still not sold that Trubisky can beat out Haskins or Rudolph. We'll have to wait until preseason to see if that's the case. Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his signing bonus is, if we're ready to jettison him, if he's not going to even compete with these guys, but We'll see. Training camp's going to be the big equalizer, right? Right, Tim Y? Smiley face. Thanks, Timmy. Tim Y. Brian Brown, are we already predicting a Steelers losing season? No, I'm not. I'm interested to see what we're going to do. Our defense is going to improve no matter what. And Watt being a biggest part of it. Love TJ Watt. We'll see how he does this season. Anchoring this event. Like, Hayward played his best season ever last season. Hayward was phenomenal. And he took it upon himself to try to will that defensive line to being aggressive and good. Even tried to play a game at nose tackle, which was horrible. But we got him back. And hopefully if Tuitt can come back, man, that I just pine for that. Like, that's the thing. Tuitt just always has a reason not to play a full season. Didn't mean to rhyme and be a poet there, but Tuitt always got a reason not to play the full season. Here we fucking go again. Just being a Steeler fan. That's I'll be here all night. Tip your waitresses. Michael Hall, Colbert is a genius with these guys right now. That's why we love Colbert, man. That's why I have a t-shirt that says the oh gosh, what does it say? It's like a Godfather-esque shirt, and it's for the general manager. It says that's right, and it's Kevin Colbert as the Godfather on the t-shirt. You don't get more excited in a fan base that is so hard on their team, and we love Kevin Colbert because why? Because he always finds talent in the draft, and he always finds talent in free agency on the lower scale that come in and fit well in our system, and that's what we need for our next GM, man. Awesome stuff. Justin Jones, it's Mike Tomlin and Kevin in Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert we trust, and we have to at least for one more draft. We'll have to see. And the interesting thing is it looks like Colbert might not even leave the team. He might take this vice president role and be like a football operations overseer and help out the new GM. That would be the best possible scenario, to tell you the truth. And I would absolutely love that because it makes it so the new guy doesn't have to be the guy. Corey Frank. People forgot that Mitchell Trubisky got the Bears to the playoffs with literally no help on offense, no offensive line, no playmakers. Well, Robinson is a playmaker. He is. He really is. But I'll digress on that one. But I understand what you're saying there. We have DJ Claypool, Freiermuth. Oh, yeah. Najee freaking Harris. Yeah, right? Trubisky can play exceptionally good football, and we need him. And we will end up 11-6 or 12-5 battling the Bengals for the AFC North. And we just have to figure out a way to beat the Bengals, to beat that freaking offense and all those receivers. And that's what we got to do with these. That's why, like, drafting a safety high, drafting a cornerback high. That's what I see probably going to happen here in the draft. But spot on, Corey Frank. And you're right. They were a crap team his first season where they have like 3-4 wins. Next season comes back with 11 wins. Spot on. I said it earlier in the show, but honestly, great awareness of his ability. Justin Jones, PS4L. Is that like C3PO? I'm not getting that. I'm not good with acronyms. Mike Wallace. Do I keep saying Mike Wallace? Levi Wallace. Yeah, I do that word association thing. And I'll say Franco Harris to Najee Harris. And I'll say I was saying Najee Davenport when we first drafted him like 3 or 4 times. And like my podcast buddies would always like bust me for it. So yeah, it's just a word association thing that always happens to me. It's always funny. And eventually, thank you, Steeler Nation, for helping me correct these malpractices. If I was saying Mike Wallace instead of Levi Wallace, but Mike Wallace was the Z. Oh, that's what you're saying. Mike Wallace was the Z. Yes, you're right. You're right. He was the Z between Sanders that was playing the center and AB who's playing the X. Thank you so much for correcting me. That's right. We got Martavis Bryant after Wallace left. Great call. Michael Hall, only day 2 and free agency is already exciting. It's not even free agency yet. It's tampering period. This is like free agency doesn't start till like, what is Wednesday? I think Wednesday is the official start of free agency. I have it on my calendar here because I'm a geek. Yep, tomorrow. Tomorrow is the official start of free agency. And we've already had the craziest free agency with this tampering period going on, which ends up helping out the players. Players get to openly say, hey, this other team wants to pay me $4 million extra. Can you do that? Because I'd love to stay with you guys. Yes. Yeah, we'll do that. Come over here. Hey, Keely Witherspoon, I don't know. I might get her tomorrow. It's okay, Keely. We got another guy. See ya. It just makes it exciting. You're right. This is exciting time, and it's not like they're all going for splash numbers and huge free agent signings, because we've gotten some guys on the cheap as well during this period. We made some smart moves. That Levi Wallace move was an incredibly smart move, and one that I absolutely love in this preseason. Brian Brown, the Steelers have Minkah Fitzpatrick's contract to worry about too, and they will slightly come down a bit too once they restructure him, because it will be less, because he's going to get a high signing bonus, low salary. That's going to be less expensive than what we sign him for, no matter what. It just is. Michael Hall, in my opinion, Watt and Hayward, co-defensive player of the year. Yes. Yeah. But I mean, Watt's just on another level too. But those two complement each other so freaking well. And now it's time to start finding some defensive players here to continue the defensive line awesomeness on the outside, like Tuitt and Hayward have done for us. Hopefully Loudermilk develops. He's got the same athleticism that Hayward has. So it would be interesting if he develops as well. Justin Jones, you resemble Todd Haley. Have you heard that before? I have not heard that before. I find it very funny. I guess, yeah, Todd does have a beard. I like to think that I'm a little bit more attractive than Todd Haley, but then again, I get to see myself in the mirror more than he does. But he's got a good looking wife. Parties a lot down at the bars. I've been known to do that as well, but I appreciate that. I find that funny, Justin. Brian Brown, Striker, what round do you think the Steelers will draft a wide receiver? We all know the Steelers can't help themselves. I would not be surprised if we didn't go one. Walt Williams, we're talking about Williams. We're talking about Ori as well, being options in the first round. And I think that value is there at number 20. You got to seriously consider it. You're sitting there on the clock. If a big corner doesn't fall, if a big linebacker, defensive lineman doesn't fall, wide receiver all the way. Wide receiver all the way, because I think the top end of this draft has elite talent at wide receiver this year. Elite. You're 8 wide receivers deep in elite wide receivers this season. And I'm a wide receiver guy. And that's how the league is forming, because the college game has developed wide receivers, so they are pro ready and hitting the ground running. Look at Chase over there and the Bengals. Pro Bowl out of the box. Wide Chase, and our Chase was a out of the box playing, making big plays for us as well. Didn't start right away, but did by the end of the season. Kept improving each week. Took a step back last season. I want to see him rebound, because he has that talent. He has those body metrics. He can be a Megatron type player. He can be a DK Metcalf type player. It's all in his head. If he wants to be the best, he could be the best. And I've seen him go out and get balls that nobody else should be getting. So we'll have to see if Claypool can rebound from that. And Michael Hall, Matthew, Fitzpatrick, Watt, and Hayward. That's my dream. My dream is to pick up Tyrann Mathieu. I would love to have him on the team. Absolutely. Because you have two safeties that are both strong safety and free safety capable. Where are they going to line up? All over the freaking place. I would absolutely love that. Michael Hall. Anthony Michael Hall. Minkah Fitzpatrick is the OG Fitzmagic on defense. Truth. And I want to see him make some more big plays, and shoring up that defense and inside linebacker spot will do nothing. And giving him a partner to play with him as well, it would be phenomenal to watch them absolutely play together. Couldn't see him. Trucking Burks. I don't know what that is. That one of the other wide receivers? Not sure. I'm not spot up on all of the guns off the top of my head, but if it is, love it. But you can pass it out. Let me know, Missy, if that's what you were trying to think of. Expand on that, just to put it in context for me, as I'm going to do the rundown, because we're at the end of the show. Steeler Nation, thank you for joining me on my favorite cast of the week, talking with you guys on the Vidcast. Absolutely love it. Make sure to go over to SteelerNation.com, read our awesome articles. We're blowing up. We're getting 1 million hits a freaking month now at Steeler Nation, and it's the off season. It's insane. We're blowing up. I might get paid soon. I might get, actually, DK Pittsburgh Sports does throw me a little bit of money, but I might actually get paid soon. That'd be fantastic. Our writers are starting to get paid a little bit too, if we get some good clicks and get some numbers in the clickages there. So thank you so much over there for all you do. Justin McGonigal over there as our commander in chief. Brandon Wallace is our editor, and he's been on a bunch of our shows. Fantastic guys to work with, and smart, awesome Steeler fans in general. Make sure you tweet us at Steeler Nation, Instagram us at Steeler Nation.com, obviously on Facebook at Steeler Nation.com. Make sure you're following us here on YouTube as well. YouTube.com/Steeler Nation. We got up some good videos. We're going to be doing up more. We're going to have some daily shots coming along too. I know Colton's going to be doing some daily shots. I'm going to be trying to jump on and do some more Instagrams every day with the quick inside slants and maybe working that into the shows as well. Follow the podcast at _SN Podcast on Twitter, Steeler Nation Podcast on Instagram, or me at SN.Stryker on Twitter and Instagrams. Thank you so much, guys, for being part of the Pittsburgh, the Steeler Nation vidcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprise, part of the Big Play Network over here on YouTube. And we'll go to you guys to have the last word. Strikers 1-2 secondary will always be Fitzpatrick. Yes, I would absolutely love to have that, Michael Hall. Brian Brown, wide receiver, over middle linebacker. I didn't expect you to say pick one. I'm down for it. Yeah, you got to think about it. It's especially if a stud receiver's there, size speed ratio, you take them. Absolutely, you take them. Hank Cole, here we go. Thank you, Hank. Ed Siegler, keep up the great work. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate you as always, my friend. Justin Jones, Darian Beavers, what do you think about him and the black and gold? I did not give a lot of thought yet to Darian Beavers, but as I'm looking him up here specifically, obviously, he's coming in here. He's playing for the Bearcats as a linebacker. I tell you, I do not know much about him at all. I have not researched him yet. This is still a draft question. Specific players on the draft, I would be much more ready to talk to you about moving forward, but I see he's a big guy, 6'4", 255. That's huge. If he's playing middle linebacker and he's fast, love those metrics. First team all ACC in 2021. So yeah, he's on the up and up. I'm looking for it. Next live stream I might be taking a week off next week because I am going to Texas to be with my brother this weekend. I'm working the Renaissance Fair over in Austin, Texas. You guys want to come over to Feargal Blades? I'll be wearing a kilt and speaking in an Irish lilt over there, selling the blades and selling some smokes because we sell pipes there as well, homemade pipes. So come on down to Feargal Blades over at the Renaissance Fair. I think it's called the Sherwood Forest. It's called Sherwood Forest over there east of Austin, Texas. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week. If you want to come on over, have a smoke, buy a poke, and have some just good old-fashioned fun in the Renaissance Fair with me for my Houston guys. We'd love to see you. But I will try to get one up next week on Tuesday. It's always trying to go Tuesday at 7, but I'll be driving back cross-country with the rig, so I'm not sure. It might take till Thursday before I get one up, but I will try my damnedest. Brian Brown, go Steelers, hit the road. Good show. Hit that. Yeah, thank you so much, Brian Brown, man. Love you guys, too. Thank you, Steeler Nation. And as always, love you for being part of your Steeler Nation podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I am your host, Stryker, rooting along with you as always. Go Steelers!